Good morning, America. How are you? You know, there are some stories that are so big that just suck up all the energy out of all the media outlets that are out there, which we're going to talk about, that are so big. But it's okay. The aftermath of this with the killing of the Ukrainian refugee has gotten the attention of everybody. And not surprising, but the reaction from the media and how they were forced to cover it was revealing and shocking nonetheless. They're actually mad that they had to talk about it. Yeah, I mean that seriously. They're actually mad. And proof positive that the media and the mainstream media, they absolutely hate you. But don't worry, they hate me. They hate everybody. But they were forced to talk about it. But they are talking about it, which will bring change. And you did this. Regular people did this. But, you know, independent journalists did this. The new media did this. And that is something to truly celebrate. It really is. Also, a big Supreme Court decision we got to talk about, clearing the way for ICE to do its job. And that's relevant to the story, too, because there's a little bit of information here. Fox did a great interview with the Border Patrol Council to talk about exactly what they do. And the guy that they brought on yesterday explained it so simply and beautifully, saying all they're doing is enforcing the laws that are already on the books. And it's great ammunition for us to give to anybody that's claiming that they're overstepping their bounds. It's a takeover. No, it's not. Not at all. And we'll wrap it up today with some amazing news, because it has been a tough news week so far, and it's only Tuesday. This is unbelievable. And somebody needs to pay attention to this story way closer than they are. We need some details. They should study this. And I hope the kid keeps his privacy. A University of Texas frat kid, 20, 19, 18, I think he might be a freshman, a pledge, won Powerball. I'm serious. Can you imagine having that much money as an 18-year-old freshman in college? Anyway, we'll get to him too. Thanks for finding the Wicked Radio live stream of the podcast. All the platforms. And by the way, if you're just joining us, and a lot of people did yesterday for sure, because it was big, we're live every single workday, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. And then it lives on as a replay on all your favorite channels. Just look for Wicked Radio with Bill Adams and the audio podcast too. Let's get right to it. This is why I say the media hates you, and that's okay. So the story yesterday was massive because it was just so horrific about the Ukrainian refugee killed in North Carolina. It started off the media reaction with this from Politico. Now, normal people don't read Politico, but it really does have a lot of influence with all of the mainstream, mostly left-wing media outlets. And this was their headline. It was just like this headline popped off just about the time you and I were talking about it yesterday on the live stream. And here it is. Ukrainian refugee killed in North Carolina gets dragged into political messaging war. This is Politico's take on it, right? Not the horrific lack of judgment or awful judicial decisions that let this guy out 14 times. Even though that's another piece of the information. We now know that he told the prosecutors and the judges, don't let me out, I'll kill again. And he did. They didn't listen to it. That wasn't even enough to take him off the streets. Not enough. So Politico's take is, this is MAGA and Trump and, right-leaning Americans apparently are using this. They're using this story. Now, if you think it ended there, don't worry. It continued on. And again, none of this is surprising, but it's still very, very revealing in their reaction, what they did. First of all, they're mad that people found out about it. They're really mad that they had to talk about it because it became such a massive story. Like I said, dominated the headlines from the weekend, more than 2 days, from the weekend into yesterday, into today, still the top story in the country. So much so that CNN had to talk about it. Here's Brian Stelter. Just, you can feel the anger that they had to actually bring this up. Because why? We all know. They wanted to ignore it.
Really, over the weekend, Elon Musk, Charlie Kirk, other Trump-aligned figures succeeded in making this senseless death a symbol of big city crime. We heard President Trump asked about it yesterday when he was heading home from New York City. He didn't seem to know much about it. He said he would get briefed. And then today, Trump did know all about it. That's exactly what is.
That's exactly what they did. Notice how we know, these are independent journalists online now that aren't part of the mainstream media, but they hate them. They hate them the most. I mean, they hate you and me, regular people, but they hate, people that have large platforms even more. They got it to the attention of President Trump, and now he's talking about it. They hate that. Also, CNN. Let's go to Aaron Burnett. Listen to the coverage of this and the tone that they use. It's close to, remember they used to say, they're pouncing on this story to take advantage of it. to take advantage of it. Really.
Horrific new video of a Ukrainian refugee's murder caught on camera. It is absolutely horrific. Trump is now seizing on this to push his nationwide crackdown.
Seizing on it. Seizing. Okay? As if they looked for a story like this to dig up and to push it in front of the mainstream, to get it in front of people. No, see, that's the exact opposite. And they know that. They're just lying through their teeth. They know that. The story was big. The people brought it to the attention and rose it to prominence because people have had enough. It's just enough of this. It needs to stop, and it will stop eventually. My whole theme yesterday is what I was saying. It won't stop until this happens, but it will. You've got to hold judges and elected officials and prosecutors who let killers loose, who let murderers, hold them responsible and accountable for these murders. You absolutely have to. Trump was aware of it, spoke about it yesterday. He was on a national stage.
There are evil people. We're all people of religion, but there are evil people, and we have to confront that. I just give my love and hope to the family of the young woman who was stabbed this morning or last night in Charlotte by a madman, a lunatic, just got up and started. It's right on the tape.
So really, Brian Stelter was actually right about there. Trump, when he was first, made aware of it, wasn't exactly aware of all the details. Trust me on one thing, and I've covered, I think, or been aware of every single media statement the guy has made since he was elected the first time, or came down the golden escalator and told everybody he was going to run. Oh, he's aware of it now, and he knows. He doesn't care that CNN or MSNBC or all the other mainstreams or the New York Times or even the Wall Street Journal does not care that they're upset that now people are aware of this kind of story. Okay, let's be adults here. Does it benefit the argument he's been trying to make about the American cities, even medium-sized cities like Charlotte, North Carolina, are crime-ridden cesspools? Does it bolster that argument? Absolutely it does. But he didn't discover the story. You heard it right there. They brought it, we brought it to him because the outrage was there. And we would not have known about this story. We wouldn't have even, it would have been completely buried if we did not have this new digital media, if we didn't have this for ourselves, if we didn't have a security camera that was on that train and that public information released to everybody like us. This is an organic story of outrage where people aren't putting up with it anymore. But if we didn't have new media, and I say it again because he deserves a lot of credit, even if you're mad at Elon for some kind of reason, if he didn't buy Twitter and turn it into X, you still don't know about this story. They would have heard about it. Brian Stelter from CNN would have heard about it. CNN would, MSNBC would have. They would have been, vaguely aware of the story of this lady murdered on a train. Probably would have seen the video. Would that have made the headlines from their networks? Nope. No. Unless people had gotten hold of the information, there's no possible way this story would have been as big as it is still right now. Speaking of big stories, this is a big one yesterday. This is quite amazing. And the aftermath of this means that people can do their jobs. Supreme Court decision means that ICE can do its job and get crime off the streets, get illegals off the streets. This was the announcement just yesterday. Fox had the story for us.
This story, a huge deal out here in L.A. In a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court now clearing the way for roaming immigration sweeps here in L.A. to resume once again, at least for now. That coming after lower courts first blocked the administration from carrying out these raids back in July, saying they were discriminatory.
Obviously, this is a big change. Senior national correspondent William Lajeunesse is topping off this hour with this breaking news for us out of L.A. What do we know, William?
Well, Sandra, it's an important ruling in that a district judge and an appeals court had effectively stopped immigration enforcement in Southern California. And we expected it to effectively become a nationwide ban as other judges in other cities would cite this ruling to stop ICE actions.
They're not going to stop ICE actions to do their jobs, but that's exactly it. Now, here's the argument you can throw back at anybody that throws at you today about ICE overstepping their bounds. Well, first of all, all I have to do is point to the courts, and play dumb if somebody's throwing this argument at you. They're illegally targeting people and throwing them to the ground. Well, how illegal can it be? Supreme Court just decided that they can do their jobs. Sorry, doesn't seem illegal to me. And there was another thing, and I don't have the video for you on this one, but it was an incredible statement, and look this up and look this guy up. What's happening with the ICE raids in L.A., the National Border Patrol Council president, the guy's name is Paul Perez. He did a couple of different media interviews yesterday to discuss the Supreme Court lifting limits on ICE raids. And what he said was most relevant at all, and this is something that we should all remember. They're doing the work that's already on the books. You may be upset about that. Maybe you think all immigration should be legal. Maybe. Okay. But as it stands right now, and this is the only thing that matters to you, me, and everybody else making this argument. They're enforcing now, with the backing of the Supreme Court, the laws that are already on the books. This isn't anything extraordinary. It's not. It's really not. It's nothing that's illegal. They're not overstepping their bounds. Supreme Court just ruled that they did. There's nothing they can do to stop it, and ICE is there. Now, what's the direct result of this? L.A. is about to probably get more of a ICE crackdown than they even were before because they did have to hold back a little bit. But what are you seeing now? We talked about all last week. Battleground Boston. Boston media is all over the ICE raids that have happened really over the past 48 hours happening. ICE raids are happening on the streets. And what are they doing first? Of course, the media argument is always going to be, they're throwing innocent people onto the ground. No, they've already broken up MS-13 and Tren de Aragua gangs that are on the streets of Boston. They've already done that. The worst first. It's some of the worst illegals that have gone into these sanctuary cities to hide, despite their crimes. Because the crackdown is there, and now they have the support there. But you'd never know it by listening to media reports out of Boston. They think that they have the whole support of the entire city, and they don't. There's plenty of people who never had a voice before that are fully in favor of this and want the streets to be cleaned up. And Chicago, what a battle zone that's going to be. And some gang members are now saying, well, they don't understand how tough the gangs are in Chicago. Oh, okay. I don't think you understand how tough the National Guard is protecting the ICE patrols. So, big Supreme Court decision yesterday. A lot of heavy news this week, obviously, none less important, and it's okay because it's all going to result in good stuff, but we got to wrap it up today, and I'll get out of here a little bit early so you can get on with your day. I've never, ever seen a lottery story like this. Ever. Some of them are incredible. Now, coming from a radio background, anytime there was a large Powerball jackpot, we would already talk about it like ad nauseum because people have that hope and dream. And even, back in the day, we would do if it was a giant Powerball jackpot. And isn't it amazing how, if it's $500 million now, nobody bats an eye. It doesn't get a headline. But back in the day when that became such a big deal, we'd even give station giveaways. You'd buy a bunch of tickets, and people the first 100 people that show up at the Piggly Wiggly get a lottery ticket. Blah, 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 that kind of stuff, right? And then you do the follow-up stories, and there's always something amazing. There's always some crazy lottery winner that didn't even know he had the ticket. 6 months down the road, he found this ticket on the floor of his truck, decided to check it, and it was a $1 million winner. All those crazy kind of stories. Or you have people that won twice. Those are always amazing stories. Something crazy always happens because they're human interest stories. And when you do news talk, especially with radio, you're always looking for a lighthearted story to kind of bring to the forefront. Despite all of that, years, probably hundreds of lottery stories that I've followed and looked up. I've never, ever heard of one like this. Let me just give you the headline first, and then I'm going to play you the video and the audio of the reaction. And it's totally justified because it's incredible. Let's go to the University of Texas. True headline. We'll have all the details now, and I hope his name is protected. Actually, all of these kids, because we need to track this. A University of Texas student was told, along with all incoming ZBT frat members, Zeta Beta Tau, I believe it is. When I was in college, we used to call them Zeta Beta Tomato, but whatever. Now, this is relevant to the story. They were told to buy 2 Powerball tickets. Incoming. So that means he's rushing a fraternity, right? If he's not a full member already, whatever. The kid's young. He hit the jackpot, which is $1.8 billion. Half of that going to the Missouri purchaser. That's the first winner we already knew of, right? So you got to split that. But who the hell cares? At that point, you're going to feel the difference. And he's a kid that won Powerball. Not exactly hazing. University of Texas. Now, you find this out. Now, it's already, the news is out there. The kid couldn't keep it private because he just couldn't. And, he's a hero already. They're probably still private. Now, here's why I think we need to watch this. First of all, I hope the kid's privacy is protected. But the other issue is you're probably all thinking the same thing I am. It sounds like it was part of a fraternity deal, Like all incoming frat members, they're probably still rushing this frat because it's still early on in the semester for incoming students. They were probably told to all go buy tickets, and then there's some kind of an arrangement, almost like it was like a group win at a factory, or some sort of a company floor. Group win, and they all have to split it. The amount of money that fraternity, ZBT, now has in the University of Texas is incredible. Now, think about it from just like a local perspective on campus. They can do whatever they want. Like, what if I don't think they do. I don't even know. But what if they have some kind of a sanction against them? It seems like there's always some kind of a sanction, or some fraternity in a big campus is always like, being watched. It's like the Animal House days. Yeah, you know what they can do now? They can turn around to the University of Texas administrators and say, yeah, you want that donation for the new building that we can do for you? Yeah, drop the sanctions. Or all these other kids. Now, they may be really smart. I'm sure there are a lot of like business leaders and captains of industry and, maybe even elected officials or whatever that came from that particular frat, on the University of Texas. They may be getting some hopefully good mentorship on what to do with this money and investment for all of them. Now, hopefully they don't get taken advantage of. And this is why I hope that their identities are kind of sealed. It's going to be tough because it's already a big public story. I hope they can protect themselves and get some good financial assistance with this. And maybe they will, because remember that jackpot happened over the weekend. We're only hearing about it now. So maybe people got to them already before they released the story and they told them what to do with it. I hope so. Somebody needs to do a documentary on this, though, and hopefully keep their identities private. But I would love to see somebody follow this story of these kids that won this Powerball jackpot at a fraternity. It's just starting off their lives. Even if they're rich kids going to school, it doesn't matter. This is a whole different level of rich. I would love to see what they do with it going forward. Hopefully it's not a scandal. Hopefully it's good news. Let's hope for that for them. But like I said, I've never followed a lottery story anywhere that's anything like that. That is absolutely incredible. Wow. They could run that campus now. Thanks for finding the Wicked Radio live stream. Appreciate you. Podcast lives on as always. We're live every single workday, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. right here on X and on Facebook and on YouTube. But then it's on Rumble now as well as a replay that gets posted a little later on, as does the audio podcast. And make sure you press follow and subscribe and all that good stuff so you know when the new episodes are coming out. So it's only Tuesday. Make it a great one. Again, the takeaway is it's living proof. If you never knew this before, you just suspected it, now you have proof. The media absolutely hates you, and that's okay. That's all right. One of the rare instances where being hated is okay, because the media who tried to bury that story of Arena in Charlotte, North Carolina, those media outlets are going away eventually. It's okay. It's good because you got a hold of the story and made it big to make some change. So that's your main takeaway. All right, have a great one. Have a wicked awesome Tuesday. I'll talk to you tomorrow.